Hi, and welcome to Robert DIY Western United States Helper Tour. My goal is to help people on the western half of the United States. If you're in the Mountain Time Zone or the Pacific Time Zone, contact me to see if I can help you with your DIY needs. Starting off the day with 316,000 miles in the Seattle, Washington area. I'm going to go meet with a viewer and see if he has some things I can help him with today and tomorrow. This morning we're here with Josh. He's got a thing for Volvos with black wheels. Yum yum. He's got one here. Got one there with a burnt valve. Mine there, so he probably digs mine with the dark wheels. He's got one over there. But this is his truck. Doesn't have dark wheels yet. So we're going to do a timing belt on this one. The other blue one has a burnt valve. Not sure if we're going to be able to help that one. But the S60 needs a PCV job. So we're digging in. My favorite. Dual VVT hubs. Yum yum. Unfortunately, we have oil down in there. And 9 times out of 10, it's coming out of a cam seal. From the looks of what we have, I would guess that this front cam seal is leaking, probably not the rear, but we're going to work on the S60 first so we can get that car back up and running. Then we're going to pull this one apart and pick up a seal in the morning for it. Here we go. We're going to put that timing belt on the back side of the schedule because we need to kick that seal. So we're going to do this PCV on this S60 first, and then we're going to tear all that timing stuff off of that V70, pick up the seal first thing in the morning, and then put that together in the morning. So here we are back in the S60 up so we can tear into this PCV. On this 2001 S60 T5 PCV system, first thing you want to do is take off the turbo piping. You got a screw here, T25. You got a screw here, T25. You got the clamp back there. And then you got the clamp up here. And you should be able to get that off of there. Man. Next thing you want to do is pull this bolt right here. Get that oil dipstick tube out of the way. Next we're going to take this air intake tube off. You got a 7mm there. You got a 7mm back down the back side of it that you have to reach right there. And then you have a couple of hoses connected to it. You got to work off of it once you get those clamps loose. Once you get the couple vacuums pulled off of it and the PTC unplugged, I turn it this way and work it out like that. Next thing I'm going to do is take off this turbo pipe in here, going down to the intercooler there. I'm going to remove that bolt there. Then I'm going to take it loose on the bottom of the throttle body. There's a 7mm or flat tip there. Then I'm going to unplug these two sensors here so that I can pull this tube out of here, this big turbo tube. Now that we got that tube out of the way, it did have this vacuum hooked up to it. Now you got a decision to make whether or not you're going to drop the throttle body off of it. Some people use that as the opportunity to clean it and get that banjo bolt, or just leave it on and try to lift the throttle intake manifold out of the way. Alright, we used the fuel line release tube to get that fuel line released as far as we could, and then we used a small screwdriver to pop the last clip loose. We removed this line here that comes off the manifold. I got the throttle body loose so that I could reach that 17mm banjo bolt down here. So that's next up. And Josh is removing the intake manifold bolts so that we can have progress. Alright, I got the banjo bolt loose. I actually stuck my arm in from the driver's side, reached all the way over there with the 17mm and unscrewed that. I did lose the crush washer between the line and the manifold, of course, when you start to wiggle it out. We got the lower bolts loose. One came out. I left a bolt in the upper one. Then we had to pop the fuel injector rail off. I used a pry to kind of try to lift it up straight so I don't damage any fuel injectors. And now we're going to wiggle this manifold out of off of the head. Next, I pull this vacuum line on this side off. Next, I pivot the intake manifold up like this and try to work it over that fuel line. Hold on a second, let me get it out and show you how I did it. As not to bend or damage that fuel line, you probably need to take this vacuum line here loose, or at least get it to where you can lift it up this high and work that fuel line through it. Now you have access to your breather box. Now in your PCV kits, because this line is aluminum, you don't normally get that in your kit. That's a $200 line. So you want to take it loose from the box, and you want to make sure that it's clear going from there back to where the intake, it plugs into the intake. Also, there's a banjo bolt on this side that carries that air there that's pre-cooled with coolant. So that's a coolant line. You could take that all apart, pull this totally out, and make sure that it's clear. It doesn't get obstructed normally. However, it does break on the older model cars, so you can normally reuse this. Alright, he's removing the bolts that hold the box against the block. Then we already took those clamps loose from that side hose, and we're going to pull this box off. That one on the other side of that.
There's a little screw there
on the other side. Alright, we got the box off. We got sludge there. Whoa, we got a lot of sludge there. Man, this car, not as bad as mine was, but heck, it's a lot newer, so I say the folks was failing to change the oil on time.
What, so I give...
Finally got that box ports into the block cleared up, and we installed the new box, getting ready to lower the intake manifold on. Remember, it kind of wiggles on a certain way. I'm going to put that intake manifold gasket in place first and put those lower bolts in there, all 4 of them, or 3 of them actually. I don't think that one in the lower corner goes, but we'll see in a minute. No, the lower one in the corner does not go. And then before I really hook this manifold on here good, I'm gonna get that banjo bolt started. The intake manifold on and tightened down. We have the throttle body back on and secure. We got to put the intake pipe back on the throttle body and hook this intake off the fresh air intake back up to the turbo and connect the hoses on those spots. We're just going to keep trucking. We got that hose, goes under there, over, and tightening the clamp on it there. Now we're going to do the timing belt on this 04 V70. It's got 2 VVT hubs. It's got the cam seal leak. The serpentine belt comes under the idler, up over the power steering pump, down under the air conditioning, up over the alternator, and then back down under the crank. So it's kind of tricky, but that's the way it goes. And it's a T60 to pull that idler loose, but I did get it loose with a 55. Due to the fact that we got that forward cam seal leak, we got to pull these sensors off of the back of the VVT hubs and use the cam locking device so that we can pull that hub loose. Alright, we pulled the cover off the top. We need to put that oil cap back on there for something falls in there. We pulled the intake tube. Then we pulled the engine mount. Then we pulled these cam sensors, rolled those out of the way. Now I installed the cam locking tool. So the cam locking tool's in place. We can now remove the timing belt and bust that VVT loose. The cam locking tool's on the back. I'm going to go ahead and break this hub loose and take the dust cap off. This dust cap does have a seal, just so you know oil gets in there. Alright, so I put the 55 in there and broke that loose. So you do want to put a rag or something under there, catch the oil that's going to come out of that hub. Next, you got the big bolt inside there that needs to be broke loose. I don't break that loose until I have the timing belt off of it. Now that I have the rear cam locking device, and I'm just going to double check my timing marks to see where they are. Now that rear one looks like it's about a half a tooth back, and the front one looks like it's about a half a tooth back. I guess if I wanted to, I could probably try to turn those a little bit with my tool on the crank, but that probably won't do them any good really. You could loosen that tensioner like I did here, or you could pull it bolt all the way out. You're just trying to get slack in the belt so that you can slide this belt off of the timing components. So I do have the rear cam locking tool in place. Alright, we got the tensioner out. We're going to pull the water pump out and the idler. Next I'm going to take off this VVT hub, but if you don't know how to set those properly, which I don't, you need to put them back the way you find them. So here we got a tooth lined up here. You got 1, 2, 3 teeth play. So my timing was about right there. So what you want to do is set this back to this play. So you roll it all the way one way, you put a mark on something behind it, you roll it all the way this way, you put a mark on something behind it, and when you put this thing back together, you make sure you have that play action in it because the rear of the cams are locked. So I'm going to mark the back of this tooth from this one here that has the timing mark on it, and I'm going to mark it there and mark it down there and put that back in that fashion. Okay, so I got this bolt. I pull this out. Now I work this hub off of here. And there is my cam seal hanging on the end. I'm going to assume that maybe that's leaking, and maybe get the seal in here to make sure that's not leaking. When you're trying to determine what's leaking, you want to follow the dirt. You know, I got a heck of a lot of oil stain around the rim of where that cam was. On the inside of that cam sprocket hub assembly, I got grimy dirt there. When I look at the back of this one, it has a little bit of dirt, but it's not grimy, caked up dirt. It's just mainly a little dust. So this wetness leads me to believe that was the one. So we're going to change that little seal in there, that little green seal, and we're going to change this seal out here. So I'm going to remove the water pump, remove the idler. Already got the belt off. I'm going to wash that stuff off down there, and I'm going to put the new water pump in place. And then first thing in the morning, he's going to grab the seals from the dealer when they open and head back. Alright, I got the water pump out. Actually, when I removed the last bolt, the water pump literally fell out. So I have very little gasket that I need to clean up in the water pump area. I already got the idler off and the tensioner off, so I'm going to clean that up, set that stuff in place, and I'm going to pull that seal out. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.